Hi all. One of the things that concerns me the most is why the hell do I do all of this? Why is it that I spend so much time putting so much together and having conversations just with a camera about things which no one seems to be interested in? And so, what motivates me to do that? I've often believed that a lot of YouTubers are particularly younger people. I watched a video the other day where there was a guy who'd been YouTubing for must be about 10 years or so, because the original YouTube video that he put out, he was just a kid, and now he's not. And I thought, well, does it take a lot of time? Is the purpose of YouTube just to spend as much time as you can trying to perfect whatever it is that you want to achieve? And I've had many conversations with myself, a kind of schizophrenic moment where I've thought about, what is this all about? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I having conversations just to this camera? And what's the purpose behind all of this? And what significance is it? And I've come to realise, though, it's just simply a personal challenge. It's nothing more complicated than that. It's not about me expecting to make money from YouTube, for that matter, as nice as that would be, I do confess. But it's really about doing something that is kind of different, which I find personally very challenging. And it's about learning a whole host of stuff that I never thought that I would be challenged by, or even at any particular point considering to do. So I've purchased, as a result of this fascination with making videos and post-production and putting stuff together and using different programs and buying the best possible camera I could buy, and lights and computer and screens and the whole bit. I've done it all because I find it challenging, so challenging. You know, whenever I do a number of live feeds, I've done lots of live feeds for years, particularly with regard to the Child Protection Party, and putting those feeds together was in the beginning was just random, crappy, stupid, simplistic type videos, but and it was just about a Logitech camera, webcam, and that was it. And just putting it out there and seeing what happens, because when I'm talking about child protection, I've got something I think that's vital to be said, and it was about promoting Child Protection Party, and it was only on Facebook, wasn't necessarily on YouTube, and I found that it was a necessity, basically. But it did offer its challenges, because I was not using any specific software. I think I started with OBS perhaps to start with. I just do a live stream, just using my webcam at one point, and then I progressed to using some OBS stuff, and then I use now Wirecast. I progressed to that later on. And I wanted to progress because I wanted to try and make my productions look more interesting, I guess, than what they were just by using a webcam and just streaming that direct to Facebook. So, and then when I started to do that, I started to realise that there's a lot more to be learned. There's a lot of knowledge and information that I simply didn't have. I was experimenting, and I would encounter a new way of doing something, and then I would think, well, okay, let's see whether that works. But every time I did that, it tended to cost me a little bit more money. I think I've worked out now that this whole setup that I've got, plus the software that I use, and the lights and so forth, and the expensive camera, it was about $10,000 I think I've spent. Now, I know that a lot of people out there could produce whatever it is I'm doing now, do a far better job simply with a few $100s. I understand all of that. I have got a wee bit carried away. I understand that as well. But what I wanted to talk particularly about, though, apart from all of that, is that I get excited about trying something that's different and challenging myself to do something that perhaps a lot of people would say, well, you're an old fart for Christ's sake, and perhaps you could be doing something else. Now, I've been a social worker for 30 years, and I've spent most of my time doing counselling, and I've spent all of that time doing therapy and group work, stuff like that. And I've got to a part of my life where I'd like that stuff to become less and less. When you've been doing something for a long, long time, it's not that it becomes mundane. I still enjoy my clients. I still enjoy that work. I think I'm reasonably skilled at it after all this time. But I wanted to find a new challenge. I wanted to find something that was different. And one of the challenges I had, I think, was because of my age. Usually you're told over and over again that you should retire, or people keep asking you the question, when are you going to retire? And I had been resisting a lot of that because my basic belief is that if you retire, doesn't happen to everybody. I agree, this is a gross generalisation, I think. And I know that there is some statistics to support this, because when you retire, there's you start to lose interest, where you've dispensed with whatever were the interests in your life, which was work, and you are now trying to do something else. I know a lot of people, I play some golf, so I know a lot of people that retire play a lot of golf, and I can't see myself playing golf 3, 4, 5 times a week. I play once a week at the moment, never improves my score, but I enjoy going out with my mates and having a round. So I could never do that. I could never focus on going and playing bowls with a group of old farts, nor joining some sort of a social club. That isn't kind of who I am. But what I am interested in, I discovered, was media, how to produce things a little bit differently. And so I have been desperately looking for something that interests me, that I find challenging, that I find also could be quite rewarding. Now, a lot of you probably look at my videos and think, well, they're crap, and that's fair enough, because a lot of them are. But I've endeavoured to try and make things look as interesting and appetising as they can be, given the limitations that I have about one particular area of my life which kind of does concern me, and that is my creativity. I've never seen myself as a creative person. I've never seen myself as an artistic person by any stretch of the imagination. I've seen myself as creative in terms of the way I've worked over the last 30, 40 years, and some of the things I've attempted to do, and some of the things that have failed, the lessons that I've learned from those particular bizarre experiences. And I'm now at a new phase in my life where I would like to try things a little differently. One of my biggest challenges, I don't know what this is like for any of you out there that produce videos, is to either have an idea that I think I can run with, or have a concept that I think is different, or whether even I have a personality that's going to come across in a way that resonates with the people that are watching the video. And I watch heaps and heaps of videos about lots and lots of other YouTubers who are producing stuff in the same vein as what I do. And even though I don't want to emulate anybody, I'm certainly doing my best to understand what it is that they do that is enticing and gets lots of subscribers. As I said, not that the subscriber thing is a big deal for me, but certainly it must be an ego boost if you've got 100,000 people watching your videos. I can't even imagine what that would be like, given I've only got 56 people that subscribe, and some of them drop off because they don't like the videos I've put out anyway. So I don't know what it's like to be, to have that sort of acknowledgement. I imagine it's kind of interesting. It'd be fun. It would be rewarding to some extent, but that's not my goal. My goal is simply to experiment with what it is that I'm doing, with this newfound interest. And then I start to think, I was going to say about those people that I've watched, the people who and a lot of them generally are relatively young. And so they've got an appeal to young people. I'm old, I don't know who my appeal is to, I don't know who's going to be watching what I do. I'm not a celebrity, so no one's going to watch what I have to say simply because of my name, that's for sure. No one knows who I am. So what is it that people are going to watch? And should I care? Because I don't really care, but I'm interested to find out why people would. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope so. I'd like people to benefit from something that I might say. The purpose of this video was to talk about what motivates us. I've now talked about what it is that motivates me to do things like this. If we can find something, whatever it might be, that is different from whatever it is that we've done in the past, that is challenging and new, regardless of how old you are. A good example for me is that I know nothing about editing, I know nothing about post-production, and often I'll come across a problem, I'll YouTube the solution, and then I'll understand then how I can do whatever it was that I was trying to do differently to achieve the result that I want. Now, even though I do that in incremental stages, I do a little bit, and then I understand a little bit, and then I put that bit into my production or whatever it was that I was doing, and to you would never know. Probably look at it and say, crappy shit anyway, Tony, what in the freaking hell are you talking about? But for me, it's about learning something a little bit new, something that I haven't thought about before, or developing some information that solves a problem that in many cases I didn't think I was ever going to solve. I go through these moments, I don't know if you do, but I go through these moments where I think, well, I will never be able to learn what I need to learn. My brain sometimes seems so full of stuff that I've accumulated over a long period of time. I wonder whether it has space for anything else. And so sometimes I think, by learning something different, I'm pushing other stuff out and I'm making room for stuff that is different. And I've often said to my wife, I'm stuck with this problem. I don't know what I'm going to do about this problem, but I can't stop not focusing on it. I can't sit back and say, I'm just going to forget that. I get now excited, which is not part of my characteristic, I hasten to add. I get excited about being faced with a particular problem, usually a production problem, and thinking, how am I going to resolve that? And what I've found is that if I sit down and let it go, eventually, just when I'm not even thinking about it, the answer will tend to present itself, or an option, an alternative, a suggestion will come to my mind, and I'll try it and find that it may resolve the issue that I've been confronting. So I'm finding that, my biggest fear had been that if I retired, that my mind would turn to mush. I'd become obsessed with Netflix or something and spend all my time watching TV or just watching golf or football or something. And now I find my mind, as I'm going to bed, is thinking about what is the project I need to do next. What can that look like? So this thing I'm doing now is something I've been thinking about for the last couple of days. I have no idea what this is going to look like, but I do know that this will be the first time I've ever put together a video and spent a lot of time just working on this video. Because one of the alternatives is I have Wirecast, I can pre-produce that, I can put in all the shots and everything that I need, and I've got a Stream Deck and I can just punch a button and bingo, it will take shape. And I need to think about that a lot when I do that. But this production though today is done just directly on my camera. I've got to go to post-production. Once I've finished, I've got to think about what things I can insert during the production. And at the end of the day, this is only for me. And I think that's kind of, funnily enough, the most exciting thing about the production is, if you're watching it, I appreciate it, don't get me wrong. But if no one watches it, I don't seem to care either. It's the process I've put into this. It's thinking about it, that and the production of it that is more important, because that is where my learning has come from. If I found it easy to do this stuff, if I could just whack it all together, and if I had the pre-knowledge, from years of experience, I wouldn't find it anywhere near as interesting. Maybe I'd do some interesting other stuff around it, but just doing this is interesting enough. So just having my lights, my camera, my microphone, and my computers is enough. Now, the question is, what can I produce from this that will be interesting enough for you? And will it be satisfying for me? Because I think that is the key. If we're doing stuff for us that's helping us to grow, preventing this brain from becoming mush, then I think I've achieved what I needed to achieve. I'd like to know what you think, and if you do have the time and the effort, and it doesn't take all that much, just subscribe and ring the bell for future notifications. If you've got any ideas too that you think might be helpful to me in order to produce something different or better or whatever, let me know. I am open to criticism. If you say, Tony, you're a wanker, and I really think that you should just try and get off YouTube, mate, because what are you doing? I probably won't listen to that because I'm not doing it for you anyway. But if you've got some sort of constructive criticism about the way this is produced, things that I should be doing differently, let me know. And if you like what I'm producing, let me know that too. That would be good to hear. Thanks, everybody. Look, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and be safe.